What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today, because you guys smashed that like button way above 50 likes on this Swordsoul Ryu profile, I thought I'd bring you a test hand combo video to show you exactly how the deck worked and how it all synergizes together. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. I'm going to do 2 test hands going first and 2 going second to show you the defensive and the aggressive nature of this deck and just how the 2 engines kind of coincide. Before we get started as well, I get asked this every single time I do a Swordsoul video. Massive shout out to Ryu-Ge Trader on Instagram who produced these full art tokens for me. God, I wish we actually got real tokens like this, but you know, keep up the good work. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, okay. This is obviously going to be all Rui, but the benefit of this and the best thing about this is this can bridge very easily into Swordsoul, and I'm going to show you exactly how you do that. Now, we're going to go and activate in the main phase the Mastava into the scale. Yes, John Lockbird is going to be an issue, well aware of that. If your environment starts main decking it, you might want to look out Crossout Designator. But for now, we're going to rock and roll as we need to. So we're going to activate the Mastava, we're going to destroy it in the Pendulum Scale in order to search out a Rui card. We've hard opened up the field spell, so you're going to want to go for the next best option. Now, I decided to go for a bit of a deck thinning option, but you can go any different way as well. So you need to add a non-Pendulum Rui card from the deck to the hand. So I'm going to add the Rui Rising. I'm going to activate the Rui Rising just to set this up in the graveyard and just search out any monster. Now the one I'm going to want to go for is I'm going to go for the Worm, because the Worm means it gives me free reveal fodder in my hand. I can go for the Dino instead. The benefit of the Dino is it allows me to trigger off the Mastava a little bit earlier and a little bit more consistently. So it really is up to you. The reason I go for the Worm is it guarantees I've got the reveal, but because I've got the Blackout, I can actually just hold this back and go directly for the Dino, which gives me a bit more aggression. So you've got the options depending on which one you want to go for. I just wanted to kind of highlight that if you needed the Worm for a later on Swordsoul reveal, you go for the Hakav. If not, you go for the Kaiva. Obviously, route number 1, you go for the Warzone, but neither here nor there. We're going to activate the Warzone. The Warzone is then going to allow us to do the exact same thing that we want to do, and that's going to add a Worm, in this scenario, we're going to be adding a Worm. We're going to be sending a Sea Serpent, and we're going to be banishing a Dino. So the Worm we're going to want to add is the True King Barastos. The Dino we're going to want to send, of course, will be, well, we'll banish the Ember, and we'll send the Dino in the form of the Kaiva. Okay, so we've done all of this. The best thing about that is we're now going to activate the second effect of the Warzone, which will get us a Water to the board, an Earth to the board, and of course a Wind to the board. And this is where Barastos comes into play. So we're going to activate Barastos. This is going to destroy the Water, and then any of the other 2, it doesn't matter, you're going to get rid of both of them anyway. So you're going to get both of those for the Barastos. You're now going to trigger off the Mastava in the extra deck. This will allow you to destroy the Kaiva and summon itself out. On summon, Mastava will now trigger to destroy the Barastos, and in destroying the Barastos, you'll now resolve the Mastava, which will give you your one-sided Macrocosmo, being the Worm wins. This will now trigger Barastos as it was destroyed, and this will allow you to summon out a Tire from the deck. Wherever it may be, there we go, we're going to grab a Tire. So now this is how we've bridged into our Swordsouls. We are locked into Dragon Dinos, Worms, and Sea Serpents, but that's absolutely fine because we're all Worms anyway. We're going to activate the Tire effect. We're going to banish a Worm from the graveyard. So let's banish the Hakva. You want to banish the Hakva if you're going to be going down the route of Protoss, which is obviously something that is possible later on in the combo, which we'll see. So keep that in mind. So by banishing off of Tire, we now spawn a Tire token, or technically a Swordsoul token. Synchro both of these together. This will then allow you to go into your Yugioh. Yugioh's effect will trigger as Chaining 1, Tire Chaining 2 just to protect it. Send another attribute from the deck to the grave, so the one you're going to want to send will be your long one. And then you resolve the Yugioh, which will give you direct access to Emergence. Now the reason you go for Emergence is this, of course, will put another Swordsoul card in the graveyard, but it does mean that you can go 1 or 2 ways. So this is what I was talking about earlier on, about dictating in regards to Protoss. So you can activate Emergence, you can search out Protoss, you definitely have different attributes in the graveyard, you've got winds, waters, and everything else. If you do go down that route, keep in mind this is active on the field, if you do go down that route, you'll be able to summon back the Hakvar, because the Hakvar will be, you'll get 3 more banished, and Hakvar will trigger. So you'll have the Hakvar, a Protoss, a Yugioh, and a Mistvar, And in doing so, you've got a one-sided macro. You can use Protoss's effect to call Dark, locking your opponent out of Darks. So quite like the Invoked matchup, you need to understand if that's what you want to do. If you want to add another synchro to the board, you actually just search out the Mo Yi, and you're going to add a draw to this particular line of play as well. So it's up to you on where you want to go. I'll show you without going down the Protoss line, because sometimes Protoss can be a little bit boring, and I do have a suspicion that Protoss may get banned on the upcoming list for the pure fact that we've had Protoss back. It's a little bit degenerate, and Konami have double printed it already. So we're going to activate Emergence, and the card we're going to want to do is grab your Mo Yi. Obviously, you go down the Protoss line if you don't have another Swordsoul or the Worm in the hand as well. That is something to keep in mind. But at least with Mo Yi, we're going to be able to replenish our hand with a nice little draw as well, as we haven't even conducted our normal summon. So you're going to normal summon down the Mo Yi, you're going to use Mo Yi's effect, you're going to reveal Blackout. This will then spawn you a Mo Yi token, or technically a Swordsoul token. Now, before we do the draw, I'm actually going to use the Kaiva. I'm going to put Kaiva back into the deck, and the reason I'm going to do this is, yes, I have an increased chance to draw the Kaiva, but I also don't want to draw the domain. So I'm going to add the domain to the hand, and in doing so, it's also going to add me another negation to my opponent's during my opponent's turn as well, which I'll show you as we play through it. If I wanted to, I could also destroy the field zone when I summoned out the Mistvar. In doing so, I'd be able to get another continuous spell card, but honestly, I don't think you need all three in rotation. But it could have been kind of cool to give you a bounce. Leave this here because it's better for a grind game, because it means if you do come back to the next turn, you can activate the second effect again, and then, of course, that would allow you to spawn the board back with your level 10s. Activate the domain, and the benefit of this right now is domain is going to give the Mistvar during your opponent's turn the additional effect that when they activate a monster effect, you get to negate the activation. So you've got a one-sided macro plus a negate off of the back of the domain, technically being given to the Mistvar, and of course you've got the negate off the Yugioh. You're then going to use Mo Yi plus the token. This will then let you get into another level 8 synchro. The one that I'm going to go for is Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. And then get to draw one card off of the Mo Yi. Ecclesia. Bit of a shame that we've already used our normal summon, but that is what it is. And then, of course, we hard open up the blackout, so we're going to set that. Our opponent probably knows we've got the blackout, so we're not exactly surprising them with anything too surprising or anything too much. But the idea is you've still got 3 more cards in the hand. If that draw off of the back of Mo Yi was something a little bit more adventurous, then, of course, we'd be able to add a bit more to it. But the idea is, at the very least, what you're ending your turn on is a negate off the back of the Yugioh. You've got a banish off of the back of the Draco Berserker and a nice aggressive option. You've also got the attack reduction off the Mistvar. You've got the bounce off, the negation off of the Dino domain. You've got blackout. Once you've used Yugioh, you can destroy the Yugioh and pop 2 of your opponent's cards. And of course, you've got an Ash Blossom in the hand. You've got an Ecclesia to follow up with the next turn. And if they do get rid of this and you were to play 2 of this, you also have a Mistvar that can then go again the next turn. So you've got loads of different searching capabilities. And if you wanted to, you could have gone for a Protoss. And Protoss just means you've got a crackback should your opponent set up a board. You can just summon down Protoss and pretty much get rid of it and lock it out. So that's play number 1. We'll now reset and we'll go first again just to kind of show you the adaptation of it. So this is the big difference between the invoked version and this particular version, is that you don't mind about locking yourself in. So you can actually go down the Rui version first, or the Rui line first. If you'd already opened up something like a Mo Yi or a Taya and you already had everything you needed to and you were worried about protecting stuff, rather than going for the Brastos, you could go directly for a Protoss, or of course you can search out your Mo Yi or Taya. And in doing so, what you would do is you would actually, rather than using Brastos to destroy 2, you would still do the exact same Dino combo, but you'd go into a Varudras, and then that would protect your normal summon and every kind of play you'd want to make from that point on. So after another decent shuffle, and a good old cut, our second test hand going first will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So again, we've got the direct 1 card combo for this deck, which I absolutely love it, off of the back of the Mistvar. So it really is up to you on how you want to play this. Personally, I'll just be going the exact same route of Mistvar. So you go with Mistvar, scale it, destroy it, get you the field spell, activate the field spell, do the exact same thing here, add a worm, ditch a dino, banish a sea serpent, and add the worm. So we're going to add the Brastos. Like I said, we've already opened up the tire, so if you wanted to, you can just go for a Protoss. The difference is you need to get the worm in the graveyard, which you can do very easily. So I think I might... Let's show you that route, actually. That might be a bit more a bit better for you, okay? So you would add the dino and you would send the worm. So I'm going to show you the protection route. If you're like, oh, I'm worried about Nibiru, everyone's playing Nibiru, how do I protect from Nibiru? Well, this is how you're going to do it. So you then use the second effect of the War Zone. So summon back from the grave, summon from the Banish Zone, and summon from the deck. Dino. Put Dino back into the deck, grab yourselves the Dino Domain. There we go. Let me just double check the wind one. The wind one lets you add a Rui card from deck, grave, or banish to the hand, but honestly, I don't think there's anything we want to be adding right now, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Activate Domain, then you're going to use the effect of the Kaiva to put this back into the deck. Kaiva will then destroy Enver, which will trigger Misva. Misva will destroy the Hakva, sorry. You'd then use Misva to destroy the Fields spell. This would get you initially the wins, but you've already got it. So I'm going to go for the Domain. Actually, no, let's not go for the Domain. Yeah, let's go for the Domain. We get a negation. So you've got that. You've got your 2 level 10s on the board. We're not really worrying about granting additional effects on this one because the idea is we want to protect our Swordsoul play. So what you'll do here is you then overlay, this would go up here. You'd overlay both of these and you go into Varudras. Now, obviously, what it does is it threatens your opponent that they need to Nibiru you before you get to this point, because you haven't even used your normal summon. So now I can go, great. Normal summon Tyre's effect, making sure that this is one in the graveyard, banish the worm, spawn a token, synchro these two together, go into Yugioh, chaining one Yugioh, chaining 2 Tyre. With this one, I'm actually going to go a different route, so I'm actually going to send Moyi, and off of Tyre, I'm going to search the Summit. I could go for Blackout if I wanted to, but I'm going to be a bit aggressive and a bit greedy, and I'm going to grab the Summit because I've already got the Blackout. We'll activate the Summit, we'll bring back the Moyi, we'll use Moyi's effect, we'll reveal the long one. This will then spawn the token. You'd then synchro these two together. This will then get you another level 8. Keeping in mind you are worm locked, so let's go for, if you're going second, you go back to, if you're going first, you're going for Draco Berserker. You'd use Moyi's effect, so I'm just going to shuffle up to draw one. Now what you kind of want here is you want like a Swordsoul or a worm. That would be like the ideal scenario, but I'm not too fussed either way. So Swordsoul or worm, that'll do. Because now what you can do is you can go, cool, long one, reveal long one, send long one. Spawn the long one token. Token plus long one, get you into a 10. You can go for a Yugioh if you want to. Chenying, sorry, I personally like going into a queen long one. There we go. So we're going to go into this. We're going to burn for our opponent for 1200 off the back of the long one. We'll then also get to set a blackout, and we get to pass. Now the benefit we've got here right now is because we've made this level 10 worm, is the level 10 worm is going to gain the effect of the worm wins, which means that this has a quick effect to reduce one of your opponent's attacks to 0. You're obviously going to be able to burn your opponent for possibly 2400. You've got your Varudras over here. You've got your Yugioh to banish and negate from here. You've also got your Draco Berserker that can also banish. The domain is a little bit irrelevant because it's not really adding anything to the board because we decided to overlay. But you still got everything you need to. So that's the benefit of that route of play, and that's how you get the protection so that everything else goes off, but then you have empty hands. You got like nothing left. But you've burnt your opponent down, and this is actually quite a strong board for your opponent to deal with. So Omni negate, banish, banish twice, a monster and a spell, burning for 2400 in total. One side, Macrocosmo, blackout to pop and pop. Yeah. So very, very annoying to deal with, but very, very good. So that's pretty much it for going first. Now what we'll do is we'll go second. The big difference is it's not as easy. I mean, you can still search out any worm in the deck, but it's not so easy to bridge from Swordsoul to the Ruiz. And that's purely because, like, apart from drawing it off of the back of a Moyi randomized draw, there's not real direct access to it. Of course, you can search out the worm monster, but the worm monster on its own, without being able to get it to the board, isn't going to get you anywhere, sadly. So what we'll do now is we'll shuffle up and we will go second. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our test hand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, we definitely tried to drop a Veiler on our opponent. We've got Ecclesia, which is the best one, so as long as your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you get to go ham. I'm actually going to try and set up my protection before I even need to do that, so Misva, This will then allow us to get to the field spell, wherever it may be. Obviously, if you don't open this up, you just go full Swordsoul combo with these 3 cards. So, field spell, activate the said field spell, grab a... Let's go with Protoss this time because we're going to be able to bait our opponent's board out. Send Dino. Send Dino and banish water. You can then discard water, which will give you your Sea Spires. And the reason you do that is when you summon back the Sea Spires, you'll have the ability to spin it back and then rip your opponent's hand and they draw a new one. But you probably want to save that a little bit later on. Now at the base minimum, if I wanted to, I could banish all 3 of these cards for a Protoss, but we don't want to be doing that just yet. We're going to activate the War Zone. War Zone will then allow us to summon back a Sea Serpent, summon back a Dino, and summon from the deck the Worm. I mean, straight away, this is 9k on the board. Very, very powerful. When you activate this as well, they can't be destroyed by battle, so you're just crashing with like loads of 3k monsters. The only issue we've now done is by doing it this way, we now have more. We'll definitely have more monsters than our opponent because we won't be able to get the Ecclesia down. But that's not an issue either because you can very easily go, right, well, I need to reduce my monster count. Let's overlay these 2 into this. Obviously, if I wanted to rip my opponent's hand or like reset my opponent's hand, I could use this to spin this back first, but no need to do that. We'll overlay both of those. This now means if we do destroy anything on the board, we also get the benefit of the Misfire as well, can trigger this off. So it's up to you where you want to go. Obviously, I'm going to special down Ecclesia. If my opponent doesn't control more monsters than me, then you'd make it a little bit differently. But the idea is you kind of work in that way anyway. So we'll tribute this off. We don't have a Worm in the graveyard, so of course you're going to want to go for a Moyi. It just means that your normal summon can now be Moyi or Tyre. So you go Moyi, reveal, Tyre or Moyi or Protoss. Like, I mean, they know you have Protoss, so you can reveal that. Spawn the token and Moyi for the level 8. So we'll go Yugioh. Chaining 1 Yugioh, chaining 2 Moyi, so we'll shuffle up. Draw 1 card off a Moyi, fair enough. Effective Yugioh to search, grab the Emergence. Activate Emergence. We're going aggression, we're pushing for the OTK, so I'm going to go directly for the long one. Let's go. I can destroy. I don't want to destroy the wind and I don't want to destroy the light. So I do want to get something else to the board. I haven't used my normal summon yet. So let's go. I mean, not that I need to. You go normal summon Tyre, banish Moyi, spawn a token, synchro Tyre and the token off. Go into Baxia. Baxia chaining 1, chaining 2 Tyre. Tyre will just send a different attribute to the graveyard to set up your Protoss. So let's send Fire in the form of a long one. Baxia will spin back 2, which of course already sets up issues for your opponent. You can of course use Baxia's effect if you want to, but honestly, I don't think it's worth it. Let's see where we want to go. Do I want to destroy one of my cards? I mean, Yazi is like the best example of that, to destroy your own cards, which is really funny. Let's go long one, discard. Oh no, I'm not got a zone. I probably need to put Baxia there. Do I want to put Baxia there? I don't plan to get rid of Baxia, to be honest. Yeah, alright, probably should have put Baxia. So if we put Baxia in the extra monster zone, you go long one, discard Moyi, spawn down token, synchro token and long one, and go into Chenying, 1200 off of long one, then use Protoss, banishing 3 different attributes, so fire, water and light, because we can. Protoss doesn't need to call anything. If you call Dark, you get rid of your own Varudras. You call Light, you get rid of both of those. You call Wind, you get rid of that. You call Water, you get rid of that. Not worth doing it. The idea is you just banish 3 cards from the graveyard, so you can trigger Chenying to banish and banish. So you've spun back 2, you've banished, you've got Negate on the board should you need it, but honestly, you've got 3k there, you've got 23 there, 28 there, 3k there, 3k there, 25 there, and if you were to destroy anything by battle or card effect because of Protoss, let's say your opponent was playing Earths, you activate Protoss, you nuke their stuff, you tribute off the Hatcav, you summon out the Misva. Oh, no, I can't because it needs to go to the extra monster zone. Apologies, ignore all of that. You're just going for the attack. That's probably the issue of putting Baxia in the extra monster zone. But the idea is you've pretty much caused your opponent a huge amount of issue. You've disrupted them, you've bounced them, and you did that all before you even attempted to use your normal summon of your Sword Souls, so you were protected with the Varudras. So it's kind of like you sacrifice in the Sword Soul anyway. You sub out the Tenyis to basically get back what Baron had. It's like that classic meme from Invincible, where it's like, just look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. That's pretty much it. It's just Baron basically saying, look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. Like, that Omni Negate is too good. Anyway, last test hand, and we will go second again just to show you that option. Again, you don't need to go directly for that protection. If you don't feel that you need that for Rudras, then don't go for it. Also, keep in mind as well that as you've made that route of play, just off of Misva, going through to the field spell, going through to the 3 monsters on the board, all of that is interruption that your opponent needs to deal with. And if they don't deal with any of that, you still have your normal summons. You still have your 5 cards in the hand, unless any of those were hand traps. You have so much more that could still interact with your opponent. It's mental. So, I'm not saying this is top tier dominating meta. What I'm trying to say is this deck is still very, very good. So, going second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've Ashton Veiled them. At least their board is semi-weaker. Now, this is a big different one. This is actually quite good because this is going to show you what you do without access to the Ruiz. And the Ruiz, you're basically just going to be going pure Sword Soul. So you go Special Summon down Ecclesia. Ecclesia's effect, unfortunately, apart from activating Emergence, the best thing that Ecclesia can do for you right now, you can't really go into Tyre because you don't have a worm in the graveyard. So that ain't going to do nothing. The best thing it can do for you is go into a Moyi. And off of the Moyi, you're probably going to reveal... I mean, you can reveal another Moyi, but you can also reveal Emergence. Whichever one you feel is going to give your opponent the less knowledge. Keep in mind, Emergence can later on become Tyre. Depends what you want to get access to. So Moyi would reveal, let's go with revealing Moyi, and then your opponent's like, oh, okay, they haven't got anything better in the hand. So token plus Moyi, not going to get very protected on this one, I'm afraid. You can go directly into Baxia just to start spinning stuff back, or of course you can go into a Yugioh to let your plays continue going on. Keep in mind, we haven't used our normal summon, so honestly, I think Baxia is not a bad gamble, because you go Chaining 1 Baxia, Chaining 2 Moyi, we'll shuffle up. And draw 1. Another Emergence. Oh, no! Anyway, Baxia does its thing. Activate Emergence. Now it's up to you. You can go for Tyre as your normal summon, or you can go for Long 1 for your aggressor. You spin back 2 of your opponent's cards. The Ember's not really going to get you anything. The Ember's just going to give you the continuous spell card. And unless you're able to discard more cards, which you'll be able to do once off of Long 1, it's not really going to get you that far. So let's go... I can Tyre into Yazi with a Foolish Burial, which doesn't get me anywhere. No, it does. Yo, I think Tyre just makes this whole thing different now. Oh, but I need Long 1 for that discard. That's the issue. Because Tyre would send from deck to grave, which isn't an issue. Maybe that's probably where going into Baxia has kind of backfired on me for that random draw. Maybe if I went with Yugioh, I would have been able to guarantee both a Tyre and a Long 1. But kind of clearing your opponent's board is probably a little bit more important. At least if I go Long 1 would get me Yugioh. Yeah. I still feel that Baxia was the safer and the better route to go, in my opinion, because the random draw, like for it to be an emergency, is kind of what screws it up. But I feel that with hindsight, the better route, and we'll show you more as well, and how you can actually utilize the Enver would be in the next would be in a different play. So with this, what would I do? I'd go Emergence. I can go Tyre. Tyre would banish Moyi and give me Draco Berserker, which gives me 2 attacks. Or I would go into Yugioh. Oh, maybe I can fix this still, actually. Ignore all of that. Let's go Emergence. We'll grab Tyre. We'll normal the Tyre. Tyre's effect will banish Moyi. Spawn the token. Use Tyre plus Yugioh. Sorry, Tyre plus token to get you Yugioh. Chaining 1 Yugioh, Chaining 2 Tyre. Tyre will send from deck to grave any worm, so it doesn't matter. Let's send the Hakva. Yeah, Swordsoul or a worm. So we'll send that. I could send Blackout, actually. Am I going to banish anything? No. Yugioh is going to search out Long 1. I can still get everything I need. It's fine. This is what I want to do. So we'll search out the Long 1. We'll then discard the Enver. The Enver will grab us the continuous water. There we go. The sea spites. We'll activate the sea spires, sorry. Now, keeping in mind, it's very important. Tyre has been discard number 1. It's sent from deck to grave. You then use Long One, which will discard Mo-Yi or Emergence. Probably Mo-Yi is better. To summon out the Long One, spawn a token, which is discard from the hand number 2. We're not even including the Enver. You're then going to synchro these two together. This will then give you direct access to your Chen Ying, or of course you can go for your Long One. And then, because Long One discarded, you'll burn for 1200 of course, because Long One discarded from the hand and Tyre discarded from the deck, you can bring back the Enver. So during the main phase, if 2 or more monsters were sent from the hand and or deck to the graveyard this turn except itself, you get special on this card from the graveyard. You can also spin this back to the bottom of the deck, and then it rips your opponent or banishes your opponent's entire hand, which in doing so would then allow you to trigger your Chen Ying to banish and banish. So doing that has allowed you to banish 2 off of this, spin back 2 off of this, and you've got a 3k boss monster coming in there. You've got your 3k, maybe even stronger because you've banished from the hand and everything else in between. So this should then finish the game off. And you still have an emergence to fall back on. Not that you really want to be doing it, because the aggressive nature that we took with this particular hand meant that we weren't going to fall back on it. And that is pretty much it. I hope this has given you like a bit of an in-depth dive into the deck, how it works. There are a couple of interesting interactions, like exactly what you've just saw there, of how the Swordsoul can help trigger different elements of the Ruis as well, not just here's a Ryu-Ge Protect, kind of like how you can utilize some of them depending on what else you have in the hand. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. This is the second of our Rui variant updates. I will try and bring you a pure Dino version next. Or I say pure Dino version, like a normal Dino version. And then there is still Voice's Voice on the horizon. Dinomorphia is also an option there as well. So we'll have a look at those. We'll try and show you combos and test stands and everything else and work it from there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.